Oh, request video from Andy Sullivan. Andy Sullivan says, "Hey Kyle, how are ya? I'm good, thanks. Can you please talk about your thoughts on the state of Nevada in general and also any other cities have you been to? Yeah. Which ones? Thank you and have a nice day." Um, yeah, I've been to passed through some other cities in Nevada. Passed through Reno, but never spent a lot of time there. The only town I've spent a lot of time in was Las Vegas. I lived there for like a month and a half back in the summer of 2011, just working on my timeline. But I lived in all different parts of Las Vegas. I've already done a video about Las Vegas, but Las Vegas is a cool place, man. Nice people. The western side of it is really pretty. Nice houses, I mean, you wouldn't guess that they're in the middle of the desert because they have water to take care of their lawns and all this stuff. The eastern side is the seedy area. I mean, I didn't feel like it was a dangerous place, but it's just not as pretty. It's more just not as well kept. And it kind of goes up towards the west. So the uptown is literally higher, and that's right next to this big canyon that I didn't go up because you have to pay money, but it looks like a beautiful like sandstone canyon. You can go up and see all the nature. And then there's this giant lake just to the east of Las Vegas. So people have boats, and they can go out on the big lakes. I think the dammed up by Hoover Dam Lake, I don't know what the lake is called. But Nevada's really deserty, and a lot of it's like all desert. They're like flat desert. And a lot of the desert is completely off limits to people because it's where they were doing all of the nuclear tests, and I guess they think there's still too much radiation out there, so it's off limits. You can't go, which is too bad because in Google Earth you can see the big hole that was made by the nuclear bomb. They had a underground nuclear bomb. You can see the YouTube video of it. You can see the ground just grow up, and then there's this like really bright light, and all of it just explodes with dirt everywhere. And there's this like little lookout platform next to the crater that it created, and it's a big old crater, man. It's like hundreds of feet across and hundreds of feet deep, dude. Made by this nuclear bomb they detonated underground, and that'd be awesome to check out. But I guess they don't let you. It's all off limits. And next to that crater is like hundreds of little bitty craters from they did hundreds of nuclear tests. They were doing nuclear tests there all the way until like 20 years ago. I remember we did when I was a freshman in college in 92, we did a like a nuclear protest out there where they were doing the nuclear test like 70 miles south of Las Vegas. And they were telling us it was really radioactive, so don't play around in the dust or anything. But we ran out into where they were doing the tests and then got arrested in some town, and that was fun. Then they drove us to some place and just let us out of the bus at the jail. They just drove us to the jail, and then we had to get a ride back to the place. But it was just flat deserty area. When I was there in the summer of 2011, I drove through from Joshua Tree, California, which is just east of LA, a couple hours east of LA, which is a pretty place, a lot of rock climbing and sandstone piles and rocks everywhere. But then I drove into Las Vegas, and I think I crossed the border in Las Vegas not long after that. And I remember driving up. I even filmed it. Just really long, just no trees, just desert. And pretty flat, but then you'd go some hills, and it's just desolate out there, man. Nevada. Las Vegas is in the middle of a desert, dude. It's crazy. But they've got that big dam, Hoover Dam, and that giant lake right next to them, so they've got enough water, I guess. But that's all of Nevada I really know. I mean, when I drive through, I just zoom through. I remember once I drove through Nevada, and oh man, when I did Utah, I forgot to talk about the cop stories in Utah, because you're always getting pulled over for weed and searched in Utah. But the same thing happens in Nevada, man. I remember I had back in like '96, I think it was. I drove a little Utah or a little U-Haul van with my brother down to Santa Rosa, Colorado for my dad, and we were driving the U-Haul and we were tripping acid the night before, and I had big old dreadlocks and a big old beard with this giant owl claw in my beard, and we get pulled over in some town in Nevada, and the cops are like, "Yeah, we pulled you over because you hit the fog line," which is total bullshit. The fog line is a little white line next to the road. Bullshit, man. They just pulled us over because they saw a dreadlock dude. So like, yeah, we want to search your van, open it up. So we searched we opened up the back end of the U-Haul, and they were searching in there for like a half hour or something, and they found all these blue-green algae pills that I had taken out of the original boxes and put them in a Ziploc bag. Because my dad had accumulated, my mom or somebody had accumulated a bunch of them, and they were getting old, and I took them out of the thing and threw them in the bag just to protect space, because I was going to go like hiking or something. And anyways, they had them, and they're like, "What are these?" And I was like, "They're blue-green algae pills." They're like, "Oh, do you know it's illegal to take them out of the original package?" And I was like, "I didn't know you could take it was illegal to take blue-green algae pills out of the original package." And the guy's like, turns to the other guy, he's like, "Yeah, should we book him for this?" And the guy's like, nah. I was like, and they're like, "Yeah, and what's that thing in your beard?" I was like, "Oh yeah, it's an owl claw." And I was like, they're like, "Oh, do you know owls are illegal to have owl claws in your beard? We could throw you in jail with the $2,000 fine for that if we wanted to." And I was like, "Really? Oh shit." They're like, "Yeah, you need to cut that out as fast as you can," which I did. As soon as I got to Santa Rosa, I chopped that sucker out. I shouldn't have, though. I should have just left it in there. But I was like, well, thanks for not arresting me for the owl claw and the blue-green algae pills. And the whole time, my brother had LSD stuck in his ass, which I told him to put it there when they pulled us over because I knew they were going to fuck with us. That's happened a million times in Utah, too, but I've already done the Utah video, so I won't tell that story. But anyway, they're like, "Where are you from?" My brother's like, "Well, I live in Telluride." And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm in Durango." They're like, "Oh, yeah, you ski? I heard there's ski resorts there." "Yeah." "Oh, wow, I'd like to go skiing one day." Like, they'd never gone skiing. They'd never been outside of Utah, Nevada. So I think Nevada is one of these just weird places. I mean, it could be. I mean, not in Las Vegas, but it could be one of these weird places where people are just like backwards podunk people who they grow up there and they just stay there. But I remember when I left Nevada, when I left Las Vegas and drove from Las Vegas to California, to Sequoia National Park. So I went like directly west. I drove through Pahrump, Nevada, and I remember thinking, "Oh, Pahrump, that's where Art Bell lives." And that was really spread out. Like it was some little town, and then just really spread out. Not a whole lot of no city or anything. So, but it was pretty because I went over a hill, and then it was more lush, more green than the area of Nevada that I saw before that, like the southern part and Las Vegas and the northern part. But yeah, Reno was pretty dry too. Not a lot of trees there, as I recall. I think that's the capital of Nevada and the second largest city, and that's near Lake Tahoe. So the northwestern tip of Nevada, near Colorado, would be, it's not so bad. You're right outside of Lake Tahoe, and then you got, I think there's a big ski resort there and mountain bike trails and stuff. So there's nature in that part, but I don't recall anything else of Nevada's the kind of place you just pass through, There's really no place to stop unless you're in Las Vegas and Reno. But Las Vegas is like the southwestern tip of Nevada. It's almost in California, so it's kind of like just a novelty to be in another state. But going into the state, it's wacky because it's kind of like going into another country, because all of a sudden, all over the place are all of these casinos. Like every single, or not casinos, but those little, what do you call them? Those slot machines. You go into your first gas station as you cross the border, and there's all these slot machines in the gas station. And I'm like, do you really need all these slot machines? I mean, why don't people just go to Nevada to spend all their money on the slot machines? Are they really that addictive, the slot machines? You go into Nevada, and Las Vegas, and even they don't have all of their slot machines used up. But you got have all these people sitting there just whoosh, sitting in front of the slot machine with their food, just pulling on the slot. I'm like, oh my god, dude, get a life. What the fuck is wrong with you, man? If you want to make money, why don't you just like go to the store and buy like a lottery ticket? I don't know. Maybe you have better chances of winning if you pull the slot machine, but it's weird, bizarre. But Las Vegas is amazing, beautiful, really friendly people, but just so much going on in the city itself. I mean, it's not all about gambling. I mean, they've got the Blue Man Group. You know, they had the Beatles revival song. You know, with the Cirque du Soleil people to the Beatles music. They've got Cirque du Soleil there all the time. You know, great performances and comedians there. World class comedian, world class musicians. You know, people and a lot of people residency there who just I guess live in the hotel. You know, like Cher would live in the hotel and just do a show every night and yeah, and those hotels are amazing. They're so big, you can go all the way 4 miles down up and down the strip and not even have to go outside. You just walk from hotel to hotel and inside these giant hotels with these different themes to them. Like like there's the Eiffel Tower one, and then there's the ones that look like it's like the skyline of New York City, and you're inside there, and it's kind of like you're inside the nightlife of New York City, making it look like you're outside, but you're inside, and just giant indoor hotels, and then there's that pyramid. You're inside of a pyramid. It's almost just like 80% as big as the Great Pyramid of Giza, but it's the same shape, I think. And yeah, a lot of cool architecture there. But yeah, I should explore Nevada more and check out that big lake. And yeah, seem like nice people, especially in Las Vegas. Okay, peace out.